You? Well, no, you're not the far-out generation, are you? You will be on...
Kind of. I'm kind of quirky.
Okay. The freak out, the flop out, the psych out, the drop out, the blackout, the fallout, the conk out, the cop out, the wipe out, the sweat out, the strike out, the sell out are warning the world we should all get the hell out. Well, I'm quite overwhelmed, as you can see. Or can't you? And if all these tributes I'm getting didn't begin to sound like previews of a wake, I would be less nervous. I told my wife, the lady I've been shacking up with for 50 years, how nervous I am about these things. She shares my bed, board, and thesaurus. Why shouldn't she share my nervousness? And she knew just how to soothe me. She said, "Now, don't worry, Yipper," she says. "You know that your capacity for absorbing adulation is unlimited." Anyhow, I'm sure you must get some vibrations out there, how deeply I appreciate what's happening here tonight. I want to congratulate this wonderful group, and not only that, but whoever conceived the idea of doing the show, and I hope it'll reach the other side of Broadway. And this award, especially from the Center of Peace and Conflict, I feel I really deserve only half of it. That is the conflict half. Which conflict began when I started lyricizing exactly a half century ago, October 1929. Last week, I understand, was the 50th anniversary of that wonderful week when the American dream became an American nightmare. And the memorable headline in the Variety, the Holy Script newspaper of the show business, had this memorable headline: "Wall Street lays an egg." Well, of the millions of victims of that nightmare, one of them was little me and his promising business career. Along with other colleagues on the breadline, I was bewildered and angered. But a line out of Shakespeare, uttered by Hamlet, struck me, and it came to my help. "The play's the thing to catch the conscience of the king." And if this is so, it followed as the night followed day that the song's the thing to catch the conscience of the people. So I wrote the song, "Brother, Can You Spare a Dime?" I immediately became, for about a decade, the center of conflict without peace and without the benefit of money for studies. And because of it, I got to be on every blacklist, red list, blue nose list, from coast to coast, from CBS to MGM. Yet it was these colorful lists that inspired me to write "Somewhere Over the Rainbow." which got me back into the good graces of the moguls of the media. I was well on my way with Franklin D. Roosevelt to fame and fortune until Nixon came along and I was catapulted to the enemy list. There is only one effective way for a writer or an artist to surmount the slings and arrows of an outrageous society, and that is by fighting back with more lethal weapons than all the bombs, missiles, and bazookas that are stored in the Pentagon. And what are those lethal methods, weapons? Your art and your humor. My art happens to be a playful little innocuous thing called rhyming. But whatever your art is, if it is used correctly, you can bewitch the witch hunters who are out to get you. But first you've got to realize and be aware that the ink in the artist's pen has more life force in it than the blood in the veins of the tyrant. That one good laugh has more explosive value than a hydrogen bomb. Let me pull one or two examples out of my recent book of poems, Rhymes for the Irreverent. We've licked pneumonia and TB and plagues that used to mock us. We've got the virus on the run. The smallpox cannot pock us. We found the antibodies for the Staphylostreptococcus. But oh, the universal curse from Cuba to Korea, that bug of bugs that bugs us still and begs for panacea. Oh, who will find the antidote for pentagonorrhea? Now, a little innocuous rhyme like that is liable to put you back on the enemy list, which it did, and so you encounter it by writing another one called Enemy List. I always have an enemy in my left pocket. Lives of great men all remind us greatness takes no easy way. All the heroes of tomorrow are the heretics of today. Socrates and Galileo, John Brown, Thoreau, Christ, and Debs heard the night cry, down with traitors, and the dawn shout, up the Rebs. Nothing ever seems to bust them. Gallows, crosses, prison bars. Though we try to readjust them, there they are, among the stars. Lives of great men all remind us we can write our names on high, and departing, leave behind us thumbprints in the FBI. And so I am told that one of the reasons I am being anointed today by the center of peace and conflict is for my lifelong attempts to use my playful words to advance a soupçon of brotherhood or a smidge of goodwill, not with bitterness, but with whimsy. I call it whimsy with a whamsy. and I find it most effective way of advancing brotherhood. Of course, brotherhood is something that everyone likes the results of, but nobody likes to work at. Unlike love, which everyone likes to work at and nobody likes the results of. George Bernard Shaw said the theater is a factory of thought, a prompter of conscience, an elucidator of conduct, an armory against despair and dullness, and the temple of the ascent of man. The problems of our modern civilization demand from the artist the largest scope of mind, the most unhesitating magnanimity, the most sacred recognition of your spiritual and your humorous equality with every person in the nation to solve them. But for that, you need a new sort of human being called an artist. An artist is essentially a chap in search of beauty who cannot abide ugliness, either in a bad script, a bad song, or a bad society. He is always willing to tear up and rewrite, even though the subject is the entire social system. In other words, he is a rebel. A rebel is a man who is constantly evolving. That is, he evolves and re-evolves. And when you re-evolve, you become a re-evolutionist. Now, when you say that word fast enough to revolutionist, you get yourself blacklisted. In one decade, but then you're honored in the next. This makes life exciting and therapeutic. You sleep better and you live longer. When Bertrand Russell was asked what made him so vigorous at the age of 90, he said two things: compassion, passion, and controversy. Songs also, when architected with passion and controversy and humor, are the most electrifying means of communication. They crystallize the feelings of a nation, stir people, move them to fulfill their commitments to justice and freedom. Think of what the American Revolution would have been without Yankee Doodle, or the Civil War without the battle hymn of the Republic, or the French Revolution without the Marseillaise, or the Civil Rights struggle without We Shall Overcome. In general, a play or a painting must be sought in a museum or a theater. A song is ubiquitous. It seeks you. What is more, it catches up with you in your kitchen, in your car, your supermarket, your dental chair. It can be dangerous, for it is a subliminal weapon. When songs are cheap and easy, they degrade your culture, debase your language, poison your taste. Or, when they are crafted well, they can brighten your thoughts, refurbish your spirit. A song is the pulse of a nation's health, the fever chart of its sanity. Do we feel fearful, or are we floundering? Are we hysterical? Are we violent, or are we at peace with ourselves? Listen to our songs. I have witnessed over half a century of musical cycles and song changes. From the music hall songs of drippy sentimentality and innocent merriment, through the blues, jazz, swing. I've enjoyed them all, was eager to accept each as an evolutionary event which led the songwriter on to greater horizons and further challenge to adventure in music and lyrics. But the songs I hear today puzzle and confuse me. I seem to be listening to open-heart surgery music and cries in the wilderness lyrics. And why not? Songs are the barometer of their time and reflect the culture of their day. In a time of the most sophisticated technical advance and greatest scientific miracles, the younger generation finds itself with air polluted, milk diluted, lives computed, homes uprooted, mates ill-suited, sex disputed, incomes looted, psyches booted. Their songs, alas, reflect this confusion. They are grim, humorless, come at you like the four horsemen of the apocalypse, all sound and fury signifying fear, insecurity, greed for the $1 million record. It is impossible to know where the love ballad ends and the dog food commercial begins. Implicit in these songs is the revolt against Watergate politics and the Pentagon Society with its nuclear philosophy that they have inherited. I appreciate their revolt, but I am revolted by their taste and craftsmanship. Should protest against an ugly society proliferate the ugliness with more tastelessness? Must there be so much grease and so little grace? I belong to a tribe of songsmiths who are not afraid of gentleness, romance, style, or beautiful melody. You see, ecology had not yet zapped the bluebird or smogged out the rainbow. So we use these symbols, as did Noah long before us, as metaphors of hope in a world of promise, a world which now exists in some constellation called Aquarius. My generation never succeeded in creating a rainbow world, so we can't hand it down to you. But we can give you our songs which try to hold on to hope and laughter, so that when all the world is a hopeless jumble and the raindrops tumble all around, heaven opens a magic lane. When purple clouds darken up the skyway, there's a lovely highway to be found, leading from your window pane to a spot behind the sun, just a step beyond the rain, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over that rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday we'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over that rainbow. Why then, why can't I? If any little bird can fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I? Thank you.
Just listen to what Miss Ghost did to Toto.
Dorothy, we're busy. Please, we're trying to count.
Zeke, what am I going to do about Miss Ghost just because Toto chases her old cat?
Listen, honey, I got them hogs to get in.
Now, look at Dorothy. You ain't using your head about, Miss Gulch. Think you didn't have any brains at all.
I have so got brains.
Well, why don't you use them?
Annie, really? You know what Miss Ghost said she was going to do to Toto? She says she was going to...
Now, Dorothy, dear, stop imagining things. You always get yourself into a fret over nothing. Now, you just help us out today and find yourself a place where you won't get into any trouble.
Some place where there isn't any trouble. Do you suppose there is such a place, Toto? There must be. It's not a place you can get to by a boat or a train. It's far, far away. Behind the moon. Beyond the rain. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh, why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't
He has in his law firm a young man named Fisher.
I could stay young and chipper, and I'd lock it with a zipper if I only had a heart.
You see, when you have a fellow like Bert Lahr, you're unlimited in your inspiration and your imagination and ideas for fun, because you've got a master who can take your lyrics and wing them into laughter.
Oh, Annie M., there's no place like home. Come on, let's get out of here. Look, Emerald City is closer and prettier than ever. Out of the woods, you're out of the dark, you're out of the night. Step into the sun, step into the light. Keep straight ahead for the most glorious place on the face of the earth or the sky. You're out of
wish you're out of the dark, you're out of the light. Step into the sun, step into the light, march up to the gate and do this. Open, open.
Senator, sometimes you say, may I have your attention?
I'm listening. Mr. Senator, I didn't know.
May I have your attention?
Attention?
Now, this time, sir, I want you to listen with both.
Good.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
You frightened?
Frightened? You are talking to a man who has laughed in the face of death, sneered at doom, and chuckled at catastrophe. I was petrified.
Let me ask, Jim, when you get the news story, the fact that this man belongs to this Communist Front organization,
I will tell you that he belongs to it.
Will you get the citations, what are the citations showing that this was the legal arm of the Communist Party and the length of time that he belonged, the fact that he was recommended to Mr. Welch? I think that should be in the record.
Senator, you won't need anything in the record when I finish telling you this. I then said to these two young men, boys, I don't know anything about you except I've always liked you. But if there's anything funny in the life of either one of you that would hurt anybody in this case, you speak up quick. And Fred Fisher said, Mr. Welch, when I was in the law school, and for a period of months after, I belonged to the Lawyers Guild, as you have suggested, Senator.
Good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are. Are you smiling at me from your favorite star? The star that you wished on when once we were young. For dreams to be dreamed and songs to be sung. Good night, Mrs. Calabash. I blow you a kiss till we meet and we laugh and perhaps reminisce. Then finally, I'm sure that we will know the mystery of the dream and the song that will go on as long as there's love. Good night, Mrs. Calabash. I blow you a kiss till we meet and we laugh and perhaps reminisce. Then finally, I'm sure that we will know the mystery of the dream and the song that will go on as long as there's love. Good night, written by Joe's godfather, E.Y. Yip Harburg. And it's happiness, a thing called Joe. It seemed like happiness is just a thing called Joe. He's got a smile that makes a lilac want to grow. He's got a way that makes the angels heave a sigh when they know little Joe's passing by. Sometimes the cabin's gloomy and the table bare. Then he'll kiss me and it's Christmas everywhere. Troubles fly away and life is easy go. Does he love me good? That's all I need to know. It seemed like happiness is just a thing called Joe. And by Harold Arlen, too.
And now, my little pals of the Scarsdale Beaver Patrol, welcome to Nature's Wonderland. To start this glorious day in the forest wild, I want you all to take a fine, deep breath. Are you ready? A oneer, a twoer, a threeer, breathe. Arthur, why aren't you breathing?
Because I don't feel like it.
Maybe you feel like a clout in the puss. And now for our weekly nature chat. This is a tree upon whose bosom snow has lain, a tree that intimately, so it is whispered, lives with rain. Any questions?
Yeah, when do we eat?
I'm glad you asked that, Arthur, because here in the forest primeval, nature has spread a veritable banquet of goodies for us to feast upon. Peppergrass, chickweed, shepherd's purse, sassafras.
What's the matter with Howard Johnson?
And toadstools. Or if we tire of these succulent weeds, we can always gorge on the pine seed, the walnut, or that glorious vine which every summer gives us the raspberry. Such resonance. Arthur, how old are you?
I'll be 10 next week.
I wouldn't count on it. Now I want all my little friends to run along and find some quicksand to play in. Run along, little one. Ta-ta. What a glorious day. Makes one want to burst into song. The days and the dawn, the dawns and the morn, the morns and the lawn, the lawns and the corns and the cob, all's right with the world. All's right with the world. Oh, a good man's life is the life for me, with an all-wool shirt, neath an all-wood tree. For the world is mine, where I stand, with a song in my soul, and axe in my hand. For I chop, and I chop, and I chop, till the sun comes up. And with every stroke, the welcomes ring when my truest friends my axe I swing. What can I if the stock should drop? Long as I can chop, 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 chop. Homes are made by fools like me, but only a baritone can chop a tree. Only a baritone, very, very baritone, can sing while the tall trees flop. So let me chop, 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 chop. There's no stopping me of shally-offing when we're chopping a tree. When we're chopping a tree. What do we chop when we chop a tree? 1,000 things that you daily see. The baby's crib, the poet's chair, wedgies for my lady fair, a pipe for dad, a bat for brother, an extra broom for dear old mother, pickets for the fence, buckets for the well, poles for American tell and tell, skis that the sportsman loves so much, and for his journey home, the crutch. Croquet balls for you and me. That's what we chop when we chop a tree. What do we chop when we chop nature's wood? Zip guns for the neighborhood hood. The better mousetrap, barrels of oak. Yo-yos for the little folk. Handles for the fuller brush. Doors to slam in the salesman's mush. Schoolroom seats, all shapes and classes. For little lads and little girls. Modernistic beds marked he and she. That's what we chop when we chop a tree. For I chop and I chop and I chop till the sun comes up. There's no stopping when we're chopping a tree.
And in spite of the fact that a beautiful civilization like Greece was wiped out because of militarism, and because militarism now is raising its ugly head, and a beautiful democracy like the United States is going militaristic, and even an idealistic revolution like Russia has turned into a military adventure, and even an ideal hope that the Israelis had for 5,000 years, 3,000 years, to get back to a homeland is being turned into a military country. In other words, the world has gone military. And as long as death is the overriding goal, nothing can be happy. And the songs have got to be the rock, acid, horrible things I'm hearing now. Sad, but true.
You've seen many presidential campaigns come and go in your 85 years. What do you make of this one when you hear what these men are saying to us these days? Anderson, Carter, Reagan.
They're saying that the world is in trouble. And they're saying they don't know how to cure it. And they're saying that they do not want to listen to the Socrates of the world, to the Bernard Shaws of the world, to the people who have given us our history of Babylon and the military history of all countries that have gone down, civilizations that have gone down, tribes that have gone down. And all they're concerned with is political power, greed and gimmick and glut. And as long as those are the goals, what can they say? And the money that elects these people, or the thing that elects these people, is money. Now, where does the Jeffersonian or the Franklin or the great founding fathers, who were all practically humanists, now the word humanist is a pejorative word. I heard Bill Maher on the air talking to the so-called evangelists. And the evangelists now are gathering strength and using the church for political purposes. And whom are they against? They are against the humanists, the people who think that women have the same equal rights as men. I mean, you're living in a world of complete, I would call it fantasy, but it isn't. It's nightmare. Now, how are you going to have promising songs and beautiful songs? You can't. You can't function in this world on a scale of...
What do we do, Yip? Do we fold it all up and say to hell with it?
No.
I don't think so.
No, sir. You fight it. But you fight it with the democratic way, with the vote. And people don't get out and vote for the people that should be elected. The apathy is overwhelming. I don't say you lay down. You certainly don't lie down.
Cross swords and march.
You try to educate, you march, and you use television, which is the most powerful and corrective means for telling people the truth. You use it for elevating the people and not demoting the people. And songs, and this is where I come in, and this is where ASCAP comes in, are the most poignant means of communication. Because a song appeals, it is not only a communication, it's an emotional communication.
I think we better get to that kind of communicating quickly.
Right.
All right.
You can't stay on pitch and tell a lie.
All right.
Strike up the cymbals for the glory that is Greece, the land of pottery and poetry and peace, where children speak in classic Greek, and everything is guaranteed and cheap. We're here to celebrate with music and with mirth, the one and only great democracy on earth. Let's make it known with baritone that we're the one and only great democracy to give to history the sandal and the smock, the buzz and odyssey, and all because we're free. Nobody tells us what to eat or what to drink. Nobody tells us what to write or what to think. The one who does is made to blush. Yes, the Greeks have a word for that bird, and that word is hush. 3 Vestal Virgins. Sing glory to his name, it belongs to history now. Solidify his faith with this laurel on his brow. We place this laurel wreath upon the brow that saved the Parthenon, classic work so nobly made, good for future tourist trade. Sing glory to his fame, Caesius' name. strike up the cymbals for the glory that is Greece, the land of lute and lyre and the golden fleece. We give you sex, that's ambidex. We give you Oedipus for future Rex. This is the Grecian age, the Grecian century, with Grecian gold and Grecian gods to keep us free. On every isle, in every sea, gold Grecian, gods Grecian for all time to be. Long may her fame increase, the glory that is Greece. It's all for truth and peace, the glory that is Greece. There's joy and peace in Greece, and golden fleece in Greece. We're up to here in Greece, in Greece, in Greece, in Greece, in Greece, in Greece, the glory that is Greece.
Are you prepared to take this oath, daughters of Greece? Alas, we're both prepared and loth, sister of Greece. Then till their swords are beaten into plowshares, let's vow until our terms are met, thoroughly met, to give our all to end war's threat. And by our all, she means our yes. Yes. Then by the sacred girdle of Diana, let us take this oath of chastity. Till there's peace in the air, we'll abandon Aphrodite. Not a bed will we share, not a bed and not a mighty, not a man does there live whom we do not vow to scare off. Not an inch will we give, for we firmly swear to swear off. Not an inch, not a hair, not a bone will we share. When he raves with despair, we'll send him packing, and if he plead or attack, he'll be sacked from the sack, and he's not crawling back until he starts cracking. Not for king or for crown will that Zeus' son seduce us. Not for king or for crown shall we girls lay down our arms. So by Venus and by Jove and by all the gods above us, war is hate, love is love, and a hater cannot love us. We must turn the fighting leopard back into a gentle shepherd. Love is love, hate is hate, and the two won't hate a taste. So rise ye legions, rosy lips, let loose your curls and your curving hips. Strike out with fists in velvet glove and call it Operation Love. Is war on war through love, not either or, but love or war. No less, no more, just love or war.
Never trust a virgin. Don't ever trust a virgin. Don't ever trust a virgin. A prissy little missy with her eyes cast low. Never trust a virgin. Don't ever trust a hussy who is fussy about her status quo. A virgin is an amateur whose limitations limit her. A boiling hot thermometer with ice on her perimeter. A virgin is a reservoir of pent-up passionality. She is the first who says au revoir to middle-class morality. The man is right, he speaks the truth, though the truth is uncouth. It happened to me in my youth. It's ABC, she's BAD. She went and did us dirty with her flirty puritanity. A virgin is a scourge, she's never had her splurge. The danger with a virgin is she's always on the verge. A virgin is a cub. She's pure, but here's the rub. She's conscious of her conscience, but unconscious of herself. Virgin's mind is sinister. Her inner thoughts would burn us up. How can you trust a spinster who's always got her furnace up? A virgin's only credo is a habit that inhibits her, with which she can torpedo the libido of a kibitzer. Our cause is lost, we're applesauce. Total frost. Lysistrata's double-crossed. Our cause is lost. Say, who foresees tricks like these? Dirty tricks like these did not occur to Aristophanes. To recapitulate, don't ever trust a virgin. Don't ever trust a virgin. Don't ever trust a virgin. Don't trust a hen who runs from men but can't resist the bait. Don't ever underrate. Don't underestimate this prissy little sissy with a drive to integrate. This Junie, Mooney, Claire de Lune, enemy of state.
Now here is one of our nation's and the world's most prolific writers of songs, all of which I'm certain have been big hits. Would you please settle and say hello to my newest friend, Mr. Yip Harburg? When we started tonight, I mentioned all the great ones that you've done. Have you got any clinkers in the closet that never got out?
Would I be here publicizing that all over the United States?
No, you wouldn't be. But, you know, with the bitter, with the sweet one takes the bitter. Did you ever write one that you thought this is going to be absolutely fantastic?
No.
And nothing happened to it?
No. I don't think anything you ever write gives you a proper perspective on the worth of it. Because everything is so hard. The creative process is so hard and so humbling in the writing that you can't think of yourself as a success. Writing itself, creating itself, is a very, very humiliating process. So you can't feel strong enough and big enough to say, well, this is going to be a hit. You never know, but you have a gut feeling.
Of course you do.
An intuitive feeling that you like it. You don't care about the public.
Certainly, before Finian's Rainbow played to audiences,
right,
you knew, you had a gut feeling, this one's going to fly.
Yes, because I put my own money in it for the first time.
And happily, you got your own money back plus some others, huh?
Let me see. I got to get my account on that. You know, the IRS is listening in on this.
I understand. Everything, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
The songs that you have written are all full of hope, of love, of promise, of optimism. There isn't an awful lot of pessimism in the things that you write. Now, what about some of the songs we're hearing today, which don't contain that promise that it's going to be all right, that there is an optimism in it and that we can have hope for the days that are going to follow? Well, when you hear the contemporary songs, what do you think?
How can you have hope in a country or a world in which the kids are being brought up with a nuclear umbrella over them and a volcanic economic system under them? Once we had depression, but with a dime, a guy was not out of luck. Now we've got inflation, drugs, and crime. Brother, can you spare a buck? Once I rode on horse cars, lived in shacks, but my soul was my own. Now I live in co-ops, Cadillacs. Banker, can you spare a loan? Once in helmet hats, they cheered Uncle Sam. The kids who ran blindly over the hill. A lot of $1 billion were burned in Vietnam. Now I'm the Joe paying the bill. Once we had a Roosevelt. Praise the Lord. Life had meaning and hope. Now we've got a Carter, Nixon, Ford. Reagan, can you spare a roll?